Hi, this is Will with Stogie Geeks, and welcome to a very special Stogie Geeks Shorts today. We're on the road here, actually in my home state. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Tinderbox, located at the South Park Mall, where we're here with two very special guests. We have Brad Winstead, Vice President of Sales with Altadis USA, and Rafael Nodal, the President of Boutique Blends. Welcome, Brad. Welcome, Rafael.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here.
Yeah,
we are very excited. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, thank you for the opportunity of making some time here. We have actually a very, very special cigar we're smoking here, and it's kind of a unique cigar because it's a collaboration between both of your companies. And what I find that's unique is there's a lot of collaborations that we've seen a lot of people get together over the years, but this one kind of brings together two different companies that have really been successful but have different philosophies in terms of bringing them together. And the name of this cigar we're smoking is the Romeo by Romeo y Julieta Aging Room cigar.
Correct. Yeah, it's an interesting story for us. The Romeo by Romeo, the Romeo by Romeo line started out of a vision to take modernization to Romeo, really bring it to the next level. So that's where we started with the project, and then we've wrapped another project within that with the new Añejo that's come out. But what's great about what we're doing is we've taken the #2 cigar in the world by Aging Room, taken the #3 cigar in the world at Romeo by Romeo, and we've come together with a powerful collaboration between the Grupo de Maestros and Rafael himself. So it's been a very great partnership. And Rafael, obviously being the blender, the maker, understands the cigar more than anybody, so I'm sure you can elaborate.
Yeah, no, actually, it's a great opportunity for me and something that I've only dream of. I love cigars, I love the industry, I love Romeo since it first came out, and you're right, that next step of the Romeo, within the Romeo line, I really enjoyed from the beginning, and that was the basis for this collaboration. As soon as we got the Aging Room, as you know, my Aging Room cigars are a very small batch, very small productions, and that's something that I realized is a niche market within the niche market, which is what the cigar industry is. And I concentrate in very small production of tobacco that have been aged for a long time. So for me, having that dream of being able to work with one of the iconic brands in the world, Romeo and Juliet, and having that unbelievable opportunity, and it's a validation of this philosophy that I have a very small batch. So it's for me, a kid that came from Cuba in a little boat. It is an unbelievable achievement, and I feel humble by the opportunity that Altadis USA has given us. Brad and his team has been fantastic to work with, and the group of maestros is something that we in a small company can only dream of. If you add the knowledge and you add the experience of all this group of people that are basically are the best of the best in the industry, and have the opportunity to collaborate in a project, that for me has been a fantastic opportunity.
Absolutely. So take us to the start of this. How did this idea come about?
Well, it's interesting. As our general manager, Javier Altadis, is great friends with Rafael. And as Rafael alluded to, when the Romeo by Romeo came out, he loved the cigar. So from the start, it was almost, how can I take what we do and marry it to this iconic brand? And coming together, I mean, this is a collaboration that many don't know is 2 years in the making.
Yeah, it is.
Of back and forth and talking about how do we make this work? What does it look like? What's the vision? And because at the end of the day, we want to represent both companies equally, and we want to have a great cigar that consumers are going to love. But when they smoke it, they're going to say, "Man, that's an Aging Room," but they're also going to say, "Wow, that's a very good Romeo."
Yes. And that was the idea. That was the idea behind it. Like Brad alluded to, we started about 2 years ago. That was a dream of mine since, because I have to tell you, one of the brands that I smoke on a regular basis is the Romeo. And I was just sharing a story with him yesterday of me buying boxes of Romeo and Juliet because it always, obviously, not only an iconic brand, but it's a very good brand. And I was fascinated by Romeo because I thought very close idea of what I was trying to do to make cigars for people that were looking for complexity in the blends, and that's what I saw on the Romeo. And when they got the third place 3 years ago, immediately my wheels start happening and moving, and I said, wow, that's great, because that goes with what I was trying to do at a different level, much smaller level, and the aging room. So that's where idea came from. And then we got together and we blended. I've been working with Hochi Blanco and Tabacalera Palma in Dominican Republic with all my aging room. A small batch has been being produced, and the great thing that we have is access to tobacco that has been very aged for many years. In this particular blend, we use tobacco from two of what I believe are some of the two of the best Vegas in the world, in Santiago, Dominican Republic, in the valley of the Cibao. And if you can imagine a valley surrounded by mountains with the topsoil is actually one of the deepest topsoil in the world, and we using tobacco from La Canela, a very beautiful and great farm, and as well of Jacagua. And Jacagua is located where Santiago, the city of Santiago, was located before. They got destroyed in an earthquake in about 1800s, and then the city was moved to a new location. So there, in that old place, we have that farm, and the tobacco that comes for this blend is a complete puro Dominicano. Has the wrapper, the binder, and the filler, everything from these two particular farms. So because of that, it's made in very small production of a maximum of around 250,000 cigars. So it's something, a new approach, and Romeo, as always, just with Añejo now, which is an incredible flavor as well, is bringing the consumer blends that have character and has a lot of flavor to it, and that's what we decided to do in this collaboration.
You know, one of the big things about Romeo and choosing that line extension, because Romeo by Romeo and Julieta, just in keeping with, in character of aging room, and also our philosophy of Romeo, which is that's a brick and mortar only brand. It's a brick and mortar only line extension. So you have to go in to your local tobacconist to buy it, which is for us was huge. Because that's the philosophy of aging room as well, is to go in and smaller batch, come to your tobacconist, pick a cigar, and really get educated on what you're doing. So blending this, the stories are very parallel, even though, yes, we're a large company, but we can still go out and say, you know what, we're going to seek the best of the best partners when we want to put our name on something.
And it's, Brad, it's not been something new that you've been working with other partners. I mean, last year you released the Espada by Monte Cristo, and you partnered with the Plasencias down in Nicaragua. So Altadis has been starting to kind of think in terms of this right now.
We have. You know, the partnership with Plasencia has been very unique, because the goal for us was we wanted to make an all Nicaraguan cigar. That was our focus. How can we do this, and how can we put an iconic name to it? I mean, Espada, as we know, is Spanish for sword. This whole thing of the 6 swords with Monte came together, and then we said, you know what, we're going to let the Grupo de Maestros go down to Plasencia. We have this amazing batch of tobaccos, all aged from 2010, 8, 9, and 7. We're going to come together, and with Plasencia's tobacco, our Grupo de Maestros blending the cigar, the Espada was born. What's really interesting is that we do all the cigars there, we do all the packaging at TDG.
Oh, wow.
So we hammer all those boxes together, we wrap them, and ship them to Nicaragua to be packed. So it's a very cool, it's a very unique partnership for us and a collaboration. And you know what's great about it is you're going to see a couple of more of these in the future.
Oh, wow.
Which some names that when they come out, oh wow, is going to be what a lot of people say.
Absolutely, and I have to tell you, it's amazing because as you remember, I started working with Plasencia as well in my Oliveros King Habano line, and when I went to Plasencia, which is an unbelievable family, good friend of us, when I went there, I saw this amount of great tobacco aged for a long time. I saw the same thing that Brad is describing. So to be able to partner with people that have this amount of expertise and great amount of tobacco is what Altadis has been doing, which is an amazing job at that.
the group of the Maestros, so they came into Tabacalera Palma and worked with you and Hochi?
Yeah, we met. These have been a very rigorous process to make sure that the tobacco. Yeah, and he's laughing because yes, it is. It is. Well, one of the things for me is being able to learn. I'm learning every minute that of this project. I love to learn and enrich myself with and capture the knowledge of people I have for many years. People like Larry Palombo and many of his group that has an amazing knowledge about the cigar. So yes, they basically went to the farms, they went to the factory, they inspected the tobacco we were using, and basically put the seal approval together to the project that we were doing. And in this industry, one of the things that I like is the knowledge. Okay, this knowledge that can be passed along, that you cannot go to school to learn these things, and to be able to sit down in a group with this group of maestros and learn their knowledge and why things happen and why things. So for me and at Tabacalera Palma and with Ocho Blanco, that has been an amazing experience and a learning experience, one that I continue to learn all aspects of the cigar business, which is not just the growing, the packaging, the making of the cigar, but there's a lot of things involved in the industry. And so we have not only got that from the maestros, the group of maestros, but also from the corporate staff, because there's a lot of knowledge. And what I think Altadis has been doing under the leadership of Javier Altadis, as he mentioned, is put together a group of people and let them run with their ideas. And that is very difficult to see in any corporation in America, let alone in the cigar industry. So because there's a lot of egos, a lot of things in the industry as well. We have a lot of great names in the industry, but they have been creating benchmarks on flavors and profiles and what really understanding what the consumer wants. And for me, to see that level of expertise and bring it to the cigar industry is like moving the industry to a completely new level. And that's something that I've been very impressed with. Such a big corporation thinking very local, thinking ahead, and really outside of the box.
Yeah, most people don't know, Will, but the Griffin Maestros, we love this number. It's 140 years of tobacco experience. When you take all of them together and add it up, I mean, from our VP of tobacco, which is Larry Palumbo, I mean, his knowledge of being able to go into a tobacco barn or a selling situation and open up a bale and say, you know what, we're going to take it all. If it all looks like this, we're buying it all. That's what people don't understand, is that when we go somewhere and we see that, we have the financial capability to say, we love the lot, we're going to buy everything we see here. So we have the ability to come up and buy those tobaccos, age those tobaccos at TDG for 10, 15 years. So it's an amazing thing when you hear the knowledge that Rafael's talking about. These guys bring some intense experiences, and they've done every aspect of the job. They all were rollers. They staged through the entire factory process. It's just incredible to listen to their stories. Although I don't speak very good Spanish, I kind of get a gist of what they're saying.
Well, he's learning.
I am learning.
So the interesting thing is now you have taken this on the road, and actually last night you had the official launch up in Hickory, yes, at the Hickory Cigar Club, and tonight is the public launch over at Old Mecklenburg Brewery. So this is the coming out, so to speak, of this.
It is. This is the consumers last night in Hickory, and the consumers that we're expecting tonight here in Charlotte. They are the first people in the country to try this cigar. And, by the way, they're the first people in probably another 2 weeks to 3 weeks until we actually do a official release and rollout of the product. So it's very special. Charlotte means, obviously, it's my home as well. I live in Florida now, but it's still my home. I grew up here, and the Tinderbox where we are is where I got my start. So to be able to take this collaboration and come together and start here, it's very personal to me as well. Not only for the family and the company that I work for, it's just it's a special time to be able to celebrate this in the Charlotte area.
Absolutely, and yesterday we were very welcoming. People were very welcoming at the Hickory Cigar Club. Sandy and his group doing a fantastic job. The people got the first taste of this cigar, and like you mentioned, today we have another event. So for me to be here in one of the the most amazing stores in the nation at Tinderbox, and being able to collaborate with them in the launching of this brand is something very special. So it is something that if I have closed my eyes a few years ago and say, wow, if this is something that I can do, I will have never, I'm a very, I think ahead, but I really never thought that this could have been possible for someone like me.
That's wonderful. Now, Altadis is handling the distribution of this cigar.
We are. We're going to be, our focus on this is, obviously, as Rafael said, it's a small number, you know. So we're going to take it and we're going to go in and we're focused in on some of the best retailers in the country. Where we're looking at where can we distribute this, that not only is there a partnership or a commitment to Romeo, but where's their commitment to Aging Room as well? Because if we find both on the shelf, we know this is going to be a winner in that store. And this isn't the only event that we're going to do together. You know, we're planning some events in New York is one of the places. We're looking in Texas possibly, Chicago. We have some mapping laid out, and this is the busiest man in the world. So trying to take our schedule and his, we're going to figure it out, and we're going to try to do a goal. Our goal is really 6 signature events, because with a small batch product, you know, we can't go out to the masses and do crazy events like we do on a daily basis with other brands. So this is really targeted and timely for us, and we really want to get some of the best retailers involved, because that's what's going to make this so successful. And then hopefully, maybe in the future, we get to do this all over again. So that's what we're excited about.
No, absolutely. And one of the things that is exciting for me, as Brad mentioned, Romeo by Romeo and Juliet was the number 3 cigar when they launched that cigar. An unbelievable rating of 93 by Cigar Aficionado. Then last year we had the Aging Room Concerto, the number 2. So if you do the math, 3 minus 2 is 1. So hopefully we can not only the consumers, as the one that tasted the product yesterday, were very happy. Not only that, but the critics as well will be supported. So we have very high expectations from this. We have been very lucky, and that our job in the blends has been very well recognized and very highly rated. So with this is something that we blended from the heart. As you know, I'm a musician. For me to create music, to create cigars, pretty much have the same aspects to it. So we are looking to perhaps that it will be as well received from the consumer as well as the critic. So we really have high expectations.
You mentioned 2 cigars that really were, I think, kind of turning points for your company. Romeo kind of put a more contemporary spin on things, where maybe you started reaching some of the smokers who weren't necessarily the traditional smokers, but more of the modern contemporary, even some of, when I say the boutique smokers. And the F55 getting the rating, great cigar, now that's suddenly you were visible to a lot of people maybe who hadn't heard of your brand. So these were kind of 2 converging paths that you had here.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, talking about that, I've been, like I mentioned, a fan of Romeo for a long time. And 2 years ago, I was able to take, after Romeo came along, I was able to take my wife to Italy, and I was in Verona, and I had dinner with her right next to the house where Julieta lived, and that iconic area. And I was smoking that evening a Romeo. That evening, it was February 14th for Valentine's Day, very special for me and my wife. And I actually got a tie that day in Italy, which is this tie that which is an amazing thing. So a lot of things that come together on that so this just didn't start, the dream didn't start now, but I remember being there at the balcony, and next to the balcony with my wife, February 14th, celebrating there and smoking a Romeo. That was an amazing thing. And that day, on my way there, I bought this tie. But you're right, the Aging Room Concerto F55 receiving last year the number 2, and the number 1 was obviously the Cuban Monte Cristo number 2, also a tremendous iconic brand as well. So to be on that company and to be able to give us an opportunity for people to spread the word a little bit, and people notice the brand a little bit more.
Yeah, and you mentioned us, the Romeo by Romeo turning point for us. It's just opened the door for us to go in and really experiment with things. You know, that was, like you say, a very contemporary, very modern twist on it. We changed the banding, the packaging, colors, everything. But then it led us to be able to do that and try to do that with other things. I mean, Monty by Monte Cristo was another
Yeah, I
spin-off.
agree.
You know, going to that contemporary route, which really does bring in a different consumer. But now going to be able to go even deeper and do small batch projects, whether it be with Placencia or aging room, it just takes a smoker, a consumer that would probably walk by the shelf and say Monte Cristo, Romeo, or Upmann, and look at it and go, I know those brands, but I really like this. It's taking our blending team, and what's really nice is there's no one opinion in what we do when we make cigars. We actually have a panel, a smoking panel, and we do a blind test of these cigars. It's very amazing. Nobody speaks in the room. They have a scoring sheet, and they have these blends. And they walk in, they sit down, they light up, and they start writing. And at the end, there's a consensus among the group, and that's how we're choosing these blends now. We're doing it by an opinion of many and getting some great knowledge, and then we say, you know, now we have the blend. It's all starting with the cigar, and then what concept do we want to build around that cigar? Where does this go now? What does this become? Does it become a New Age Upmann? Does it really, where's the profile and flavor that we want to go? Obviously, you're going to see some really cool things coming out for Monte Cristo we're very excited about in the future, and then some other small batch things that we want to do as well. And want to show people that a great example was our Griffin Maestros, our release of 250 boxes of 100.
Great cigar, by the way.
Very good cigar, and that was a private batch of our Griffin Maestros. So coming in, and now people are like, they're loving this cigar, you know? And we're showing folks that if we can blend, we can do the things that everybody can do, and we're not just this big company, that we really are taking pride in what we're doing. But the key is listening to the consumer, because the consumer will always drive you. They're always going to be mild Connecticut Dominican smokers in the world. Still 80% of the business, by the way. You know, and we've got that product with Romeo Reserve Real. But now we're branching out to really capture different sectors. And, you know, I always say that Upmann, that was my granddad's cigar. Well, now we're revamping that line, you know, and coming back in with blends that the new consumer coming on board is enjoying, and we're getting the feedback. So it's just a way for us to go out there and explore and really expand this very large portfolio that we have, but really recognizing these brands for what they are, which is icons of the industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm enjoying this cigar very, very much. I'm taking it as a medium strength, medium bodied cigar, really, that you can put into a lot of folks' hands. What are some of the other smoking characteristics that folks can expect?
Well, in this particular case, when I blended this cigar, what I was looking, recognizing the iconic brands of Romeo and Julieta, I was looking, as you know, my aging room in the past have been a lot of complexity and in some cases a strong or strong body. But in this particular one, I wanted to have a very complex cigar, but at the same time start medium, so that when you start on this cigar, what I hope you will find, which is what I intended, was a cigar that will develop as you smoke the cigar. So this will start actually mild to medium, and then they will start developing the flavor. The first thing that I look when I blend a cigar, when I light up a cigar, you get that aroma. That aroma can only be achieved by having tobacco that has been aged a tremendous amount of time. So what you find in this cigar when you light it up is that great aroma or aged tobacco. And as the cigars start developing, you start getting different type of smoking experiences as the complexity of the cigar continues to develop through the whole cigar. So the first, the second, and the third part of the cigar completely different, and at the end, like any good symphony or any good piece of music, you get a whole bunch of flavors and explosion of flavors. So that's what I intended, and I'm very happy to say that yesterday the consumer that tried the cigar exactly what they told me that what it was. So if I have to put equivalent in the music, it's a symphony that I start developing, and it has several steps, and at the end you get that forte, that strong flavor profile.
Excellent. Now, Brad, what are the sizes that this cigar comes in?
It comes in a 3 sizes. It comes in a Robusto, a Bellicoso, and the Toro, which is what we're smoking now. So, you know, that's the iconic thing for us. When we choose sizes, we want to go with more mainstream sizing, but also what we're learning for the consumer is we start with 3. And now if we came out down the road and we get to do this again, and if a consumer says, why didn't you do that in a Corona?
Right.
Or why didn't you do that in X? It gives us an opportunity later on to really expand upon a line. So that's really where we try to start, are those key sizes for us.
And those 3 sizes, the first one, the 48x5, named Copla. By the way, the cigars, as I do in all the aging room, have musical terms. Yes. So the first one is Copla, which is type of music of Spanish music, music from Spain. And they all have different characteristics, smoking characteristics, which is normal in your small batches, because when you have small batches and you're working like we are in these particular cases with tobacco from only two farms, what you get is in different sizes you have different characteristics. For example, the Copla, the 48x5, it's tremendous amount of flavor. Then the Torpedo, which is Cantaor. Cantaor is a term for the people that sing flamenco music, which is something that I love very much. And that particular one is smokes differently from the Copla. And then the Capricho, which is the one we're smoking and you're smoking today, which is 54x6. This is a very good size because it allows you to have a full taste of all the tobacco inside. So just like in music and the aspects that I say, you start little by little on the Capricho. It comes from a Capricho Español, a song, a piece actually from a Russian composer, but it's actually, if you listen to that music, it's explosion of flavors of different parts of Spain, and that's what I try to do on this particular size. You really get an explosion of flavors.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll go with one last question for each of you. Brad, what's your favorite cigar in Rafael's portfolio?
That's an easy one. That's an easy one. Ben number 1.
Oh, it's a fantastic one. I smoked one of them again yesterday. Fantastic.
I actually have a box that Rafael was kind enough to send me after we had a great chat one night in the Grand Havana in New York, and we're sitting there, we're having cocktails. We may have been there too late.
Too long.
But who's counting? And the next a few days later, show up a box of this cigar, and I just can't stop talking about it. I really, really enjoy it.
That's an outstanding cigar. Rafael?
Well, and for me, it will be no surprise to you. It's a Romeo, although I have enjoyed La Espada very much. I thought it was I think it's a fantastic release, but I'm biased to Romeo, the first release that they did, Romeo by Romeo and Julieta.
Excellent. Well, Brad, Rafael, hopefully this is not the first time we'll be talking to you together, and I hope to see more projects from both of you at us. Thanks for making some time on a very busy, I know you guys are on the road here, so thanks again to Craig Cass and his team at the Tinderbox for letting us record this very special